and welcome to the Yarnings Podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. This is episode 96. I'm calling it October Whooshing By, or something like that. It is October 31st. Happy Halloween. I don't really have a costume on today, but I do have little bee earrings. They are earrings that my friend Angel, she's a McGar on Revelry. Her mom made them for me. So let's see. It is Halloween afternoon of a very rainy month. It has rained all but 2 days of October, and so everything is a little wet. There was one beautiful day where I got to crunch in the leaves while I was out and about, and that was so nice. Let's see. Let's have some life stories. Oh, but first, welcome to new and returning people who are coming to watch. I am really glad you're here today. So, October kind of went by in a big storm of crazy, and every time I sat down to attempt to podcast, something interrupted. My computer had some weird things, and then just normal life things. But I did get to visit Oregon Flock and Fiber, which was the last weekend of September at the convention center in Canby, Oregon. And I haven't been for quite a few years. I think I wrote down somewhere how long it had been, but it's been a while, and so it was so nice to return. There are a lot of vendors and people that I get to see when I go to that event, and it is lots of fun. And even enhancing it more, I got to bring my niece, Leah. Eric drove us for the day, and Leah got to come, and I got to show her all the different kinds of yarn there are, and the spinning wheels, and we saw a sock knitting machine, and she just seemed to soak up all that fun knowledge, and it was just kind of the culmination of all of the Aunt Christine's Knitting School things that we have done. She purchased some fiber and some yarn. She wants to make a bag and a pair of mitts. And so I'm going to spin the fiber when she's ready for that so that she can make a color inset on these mitts. It was a pattern that Wool Gatherings had that is still exclusive, so I don't think I can link to it yet, but Leah really liked the idea of those, so that will be fun. I got this awesome, fabulous, terrific bag. Keeper of the wool, spinner of the fiber, enabler extraordinaire, guardian of the stash, knitter of the yarn, crafty and artistic. That's me, huh? And probably some of you. This is from Miss Pearl. She makes a lot of the stitch markers that I have. And I did purchase some more. There's a little owl on here. Oh. He's just a cute little silver owl, and I've got different color beads on the different ones, and I got a set of Captain America ones from her too. So I will link to her Etsy shop. Etsy shop? Yeah, I think so. And if you guys are interested in grabbing one of these bags, they are really nice and solid. They've got awesome handles. It's kind of a skinny bag configuration where it's got kind of a shallow depth on the side, but these edges have the same rope in them, and so it keeps it nice or something like that. Keeps it nice and solid. So that was something I had seen on her at Instagram, I think, beforehand, and I was hoping I would find one, and I did. I also snatched up some fun stuff from Knitted Wit. She had a by the weight pile of stuff that you could get based on weight. And these are minis of a maybe sport weight. It's not heavy enough to be worsted, but each color is its own skein. I got some that was ginormous yarn, and I'm not sure what I will make with this, but I love the idea of it. And I grabbed a skein of Bad Santa because I'd like to make, this is her mega single fingering because it's a large skein, and I'd like to make a shawl that is Christmassy. It's a nice single, and those are knitted wet, those 3. I got 2 of these baskets because they are Ghana baskets from West Africa, and they make wonderful gift baskets for people. And then I got a couple of gifts, but this one was for me. Huckleberry Knits is one of my very favorite dyers, and she added a Kaylee colorway. And I could not pass up Kaylee. And it's a BFL nylon, and so I think it might turn into socks. Because I still have yet to knit with the other BFL I have. I think this one is. I haven't knit with that one yet either. But I think this might have to be socks with its beautiful colors to see how it pools. I don't know. I might have to save it for a shawl, but Kaylee. I also grabbed some wood buttons that are going to go on a gift hat. I need to pick out some yarn. I think it's going to be the For Good hat by Megan Williams, and I will put a button on each side, so I'll adjust it a little bit so that it has button plackets on each side of the hat. And I got this necklace from the same guy, and it's kind of like a cameo. It's a beautiful goddess-looking woman with curly hair, and I just loved that idea. So I had a lot of fun at Oregon Flock and Fiber, and I came away with a few purchases, and that was exciting. So that was Oregon Flock and Fiber. I also went to Northern California. We were gone for about a week, and we visited with friends. Some of Eric's high school classmates are down there, and we had a fabulous time. It was really a good thing for my heart to get to go and hang out with the friends and their kids. And we went to Oakland to visit with one of the other friends, and it was just really nice. At the end of the trip, we had gone to the Jelly Belly factory. That was fun. And then we were attempting to go up the redwoods to visit my brother-in-law. And we had a incident where the road was closed due to an accident, and we could not go that way. And we had to drive quite a ways. It was like an extra... If we had gone the other direction in the first place, we went about 6 hours out of our way, and we couldn't get through. So that was a little bummer, but it didn't mean that the whole trip was ruined. We will have to go back down and see Craig and see the redwoods, because I've still never seen that. We went through one giant tree that we could drive through, but so that was a bummer, but the beginning of the trip was so fabulous. It really didn't taint the trip for me. And it was a nice chance to knit and spin and paper piece in the car. I got some good stuff done, and that's always fun. We listened to some books, listened to some music, and we had a nice drive. We stayed in some a little bit nicer hotels, and that really was a nice thing. And I hope that we can continue to do these kind of shorter trips, just to see the friends. Here at home, we have gotten 2 new couches. One for my exercise room, which is on the other side of the wall, which is actually my TV watching room. but it does have an exercise bike and my yoga mat on the floor. So I do use it for exercising, but more often than not, it is where I sit and craft and watch TV in my own personal little space. And so the back of the old couch was broken, and now we have a new couch. So that's fabulous. And then downstairs, we'd had Pong chairs from IKEA, and they were not doing it for my back. I was not enjoying sitting on them for longer periods of time. So we got a nice, awesome couch. It took a little while for it to get here because it came from across the ocean. And now it is here. Now the ottoman is here, and our living room looks very nice. But that did take a little shopping and a little doing and moving things around and all that. That took up some mental space and physical space. We've had a couple family birthday parties, and I have done some good self-care in between all that. So I think that'll do us for our life stories today. Let's move into some yarnings and adventures in knitting, where I have some finished objects. I guess I'll show you the one I'm wearing. I cast this on the day that I recorded last, so the end of September. This is the Risen Cardi by Melanie Berg, with a few of my own adaptations to add a color patch in here. Goes all the way around. I did it with intarsia so that I could keep this band. The band is knitted at the same time rather than knitted on later. So I did intarsia so that I could keep the band going on each side of the panel. I really like how it looks. I like the shaping that I did. This band is a little fiddly, but it looks really nice. It curls under slightly. And then it has this cable-y panel on the bottom, which is kind of cable lace ribbing. And then again, I did that on the sleeves. And I'm pleased with it. When I was wearing it yesterday with my crossbody purse on it, one side was sliding off my shoulder. And so I might, if I'm going to wear it with my purse over it, I might use a shawl pin and attach it together. Now I have made my dress askew. So let's see, details. So it's the Risen pattern by Melanie Berg. I did it for the Big Bad Berg Along, which is a podcast invented knit along with a bunch of podcasts involved. It is knit out of Dancing Dog Dye Works. Her tango sock, it was 2 extra large skeins, so I think it was 1,300 yards that I had of that in the color Chili Verde, and that is very bright green in the sunlight, very bright yellowy green. In here, it's not quite as crazy looking as it looks like it's outside. And then I used for the little color inset, it is Knit Picks Imagination, which I had gotten from a furry yarn mother. I have a box over here with some cool things that still need to be added to my stash that a fairy yarn mother sent me. So that's my first finished object. I just finished it at the beginning of the weekend and blocked it and got to wear it yesterday, and now I'm putting it back on so I can show you. It is a raglan, and I'm not always sure I like the way raglans make the lines in here. It may not fit me as well as it could, but when I pull it closed, if I were to pin it, it would be fine. It's just I might want to look at knitting things other than raglans for a little better fit around my arms. That's what I'm thinking. it's still a great sweater. I'm I'm pleased with it, and I will wear it a lot. And I have other raglans that I do wear a lot. It just had me thinking for future sweaters, maybe I will pick things out that are set in sleeves a little more often or something else and see what really works for me when I'm wearing it. The sweater that I knit this spring, the Maris, had the nice set-in sleeves because it's by Elizabeth Doherty, and that fits my shoulders really nice and stays up. So maybe more like that are in my future. Other finished objects. These are off the needles. I still need to weave the ends in. These are my 2 red witches socks, as I was calling them, after Willow from Buffy and Scarlet Witch from Marvel movies, because it's got the nice red and purple in there, and it made me think of them. The yarn is 716 Knit 716 sock, which is a nice, sturdy, heavier weight yarn, and I really like that for socks. My other pair has held up really nicely that I knit with last year, and I did Fish Lips Kiss heels as always, and just my usual ways of increasing and all that. I think I tried to make the heels a little bit bigger this time, so we'll see how that fits. I tried to give it a little more space so they're not so tight across the instep on the top. So yeah, we'll see how that adaptation helps with the way they fit. Obviously I haven't worn them yet because the ends aren't woven in, but I think I will tomorrow. It is the colorway Bored Now, which is a Buffy quote, a quote from Buffy that Willow says, and we did rewatch the Whoosh episode, season 3, I think it's episode 7, 8-ish, and it is one where Evil Willow is on. So those socks are done. I used almost all, not quite all of the skein, but they're longer than the foot. I have been knitting like mad on sockhead hats. I am going to gift, and I have already gifted a bunch of hats. So I had 9 of them. 2 of them have already been given. 6 of them are for the nieces and nephews, 2 were for friends' kids, and 1 is for a friend of mine. And I am making them all out of scraps. Well, there was a mini skein kit from another crafty girl that started the whole idea of the scraps. These are 4 of her colorways in there. But I have some Cyber's Craft Room. I have some wool gatherings on the round, Manos Alegria, some more 716 up there, and some Huckleberry knits. So I've got a nice assortment of things. I've got some knit picks. This one has quite a bit of knit picks in it. Nice assortment of things, but all from my scrap bin, and that feels really good to get to use up some of those in a way that will warm my friends' heads. So that's a lot of knitting, but they knit so nicely when when I don't need to pay attention. I mean, the ribbing, I have to pay a little more attention, but it's not hard to drop down if I'm off 1 stitch at some point. And the crown decreases got pretty easy for me as I was going along to memorize. So yeah, I feel like I did really good with that project. And I finished the 9th one this morning. I have 1 more hat to knit, but it won't be a sock head. It's the one for the buttons that I was showing you from off. Okay, so works in progress. This is, I'm calling it Kaylee Walks on the Sun. It is the Sunwalker pattern by Melanie Berg for the Big Bad Burgalong. And if you can guess, the end wants to be attached to other things here, and I want to show it to you all stretched out. There we go. This is my Kaylee's Parasol hand spun that I did with Hobbledehoy's Batlings. So you can see we go from the parasol up into the blue and then into the green, and they're all Kaylee colors. Where are you, Kaylee? The blue is not really on this figurine, but the green is. So now I have started, just today, I've started the lace section, which is in this Woolmiza that I picked up from someone's D-stash my first year at ZK. Thank you, Bacon Fairy. And I have this much left of the handspun. So I don't have a lot left of the handspun for the section after the lace, but I think it will still be enough to tie the colors together that this is the body of it. And I will probably make my lace more than it was so that I can use more of this brown in there and make it a nice big generous shawl. So that's been lots of fun. I have the texture is really interesting. It is a double moss stitch or double seed stitch. It's 2 rows seed stitch if you were doing 2 rows the same texture and then alternating from there. So that takes a little more concentration for me. I have really had to pay attention to my row. So I had one of my little owls hanging out on there so that I could count up how many rows, which obviously I am now into the lace, so I'm not paying attention to it, but it was very important for me to stay on track with that. And I had the pattern folded up in there's a little pocket in my kitchen counter crafter bag, and so that has hung out in there so that I could be sure. Some of the rows have extra decreases and some of them don't, so within the 12 row repeat you have to pay attention a little more than normal. But this is going to be really nice. It is so much fun to be working with my hand spun. I got to show it to Lane when she was visiting, Lane Nerd. And that was nice to get to be able to show it to a friend. We both had kitchen counter crafter bags, and that was fun. So that is one work in progress. I showed you when I was showing you the little owl stitch marker, I just cast on the tippy toes of a new pair of socks. These are going to be the Euglacia Watsonia socks by Dami Allman. She is the daughter in the mother-daughter team of the Geeky Girls Knit podcast, and the pattern has like beehive cables and little cables up the side, and I think it's going to work really nicely with this Lammy Toes, which was a gift from my friend Heather this year at ZK. It is the colorway Botanical Baddies. I don't remember what the base name on this one is, but I'll link to it. And Siri thinks I'm talking to her. No, Siri. So these are going to be really fun socks, and it's cool to be working with speckled yarn. I haven't knit with a lot of speckled yarn, so that will be lots of fun. I may also cast on a pair of plain stockinette socks. Since I'm done with the hats, I'm going to need something that I can work on. Sitting here and talking to you guys without something that I can knit on in my hands is a little crazy. I'm so used to having something, but there wasn't really anything to be knitting on right now that I could do. So, I have 2 works in progress, and the next thing that is going on my needles, I need to swatch for my Nanny Swaymo sweater. So I think I am going to do, you can see that these have a little different coloring, so I will be alternating. I am going to knit the Princess Fiona sweater. It is a pullover with a triangular inset of lace on the side, and Lane had just knit this one not that long ago, and I've seen some other really beautiful ones. In fact, I saw some that had the lace panel in another color, and I love that idea. I have 2 options that I'm toying with to be the other color. This one would be really eye-popping. This one might feel a little more regal. It's the lightweight, and this is the medium weight, but I think that will be fine. I'm not too worried about it being slightly different weight. It is a kind of navy blue, but the color of on the screen looks more brown than it is. It's a kind of a desaturated navy, and up against that, I think that might be the winner to really show off the lace. But I need to swatch, and I need to figure out, I added the pattern to my Ravelry library today, and so swatching is in my plans this afternoon. It's already 3:11. I have some other stuff that I get to do this afternoon, so that's my needle adjacent. I already showed you my stash. I do have some other stash, but I'm not quite ready to show it. As far as knitting, as far as spinning and paper piecing, I did work just a teeny bit on my Acrework spindle in the car on our drive, and a little bit on paper piecing. I think I did 1 flower, and then I cut up some of my hexagons in half because I'm going to use some half hexagons as fillers to make these hexagons be a strip in a blanket. So I didn't get a lot done on them, but I did bring them with me, and I did hit on them a little bit. Let's stack those more carefully this time. So how about some knitting community? We had a contest going on this summer, the Yarning Summer School, and we had 2 people who posted what they were learning this summer. We had Pocketses and Annetta, who's Annetta T. And I had a prize for that. And so, by random number draw, Pocketses, who is Sharon of Washington, has won this lovely skein of Daisy Knits. This is her shoot base, which is merino nylon bamboo in the Wicked Cool colorway, which is one of my favorites of hers because it brings those purples and blues and greens together. So it was very nice of Daisy to send this to us, and it works out really nice to be giving this away for a thread where I'd hoped that you learned something, because her podcast is all about learning the Master Knitter program, the Daisy Knits podcast on YouTube. And it's a fairly new one. So if you are interested in learning a little bit about that and a little about her dyeing business, I would highly recommend that. So Sharon Pocketses, will you please send me a PM when you see this, and I will get this out to you. And thank you, Annetta, for also posting what you were learning. Excuse me. We also had the Superpowers knit along, and I'm not drawing a prize for that one. There weren't any people that completed, but I'm really proud of Suoxy, who's Catherine of Alabama, and Julie R. Knits, for participating. They made some lovely progress by the end of the cal. It just probably wasn't quite a long enough time span, and we will have to start another knit along sometime soon that will be a little more realistic for what we're knitting time-wise. So let's move into some non-knitting segments. Sagas of Geekery. Now playing. I played a lot of games in October. My stats app, BG Stats, says I played 18 different times in October. 18 different games played. 2 of them were repeats, so only 16 games. We did an epic game of Firefly that took up the entire table, all spread out. We got the new Civil War expansion of Legendary, and that the sleeving project for that took us a bit. We got to go to Oakland and meet at Endgame, a game store there that is really nice. And I had heard about it from Amy the cartoonist, who made the Cartoon Christine icon that used to be the banner of the Earnings podcast. She's a friend from an online business class, and her art is hanging in the game store because that's her local game store. And so it was just so exciting to get to go and see her stuff on the wall, because that was how I knew about this store. We went to Guardian, our local game store here, several times, and we got to meet out. That's where we met Lane and her husband on their vacation. So lots of gaming with lots of different people, different groups of people, and that has been fun. For now watching, I'm sure there have been a lot of things that we've watched, but I did just finish The Good Wife, which just ended at the end of last year. So I'm not sure if I should say anything that could be spoilery. I enjoyed the majority of the show. There was a lot of the show, of the series, that I liked. I would change the ending. I am rewatching the end of Gilmore Girls, getting ready for the Black Friday mini-series, and I'm so excited for that. And then today, I turned on Scandal just for fun. Every once in a while, I'll go back and rewatch that, and I knew that I would want to rewatch it now that I have seen Liza Wheel from Gilmore Girls, to go and see her again on Scandal. She played Paris on Gilmore Girls, and on Scandal, she was on the first season. So, Fanciful Chatter. We already talked about what I'm wearing and my pretty necklace. I have a new glossy lipstick that I'm not quite sure about yet, but it's because it's glossy and so it's harder to wear. This is ColourPop. The color is Suki, which I would, of course, attribute to Suki from Gilmore Girls. I don't know if that's why they named it that way. But I'm trying it out. We'll see if this turns into one of my favorites. It's definitely less tacky now than when I put it on, and that is nice. And it's still seeming to hold the color, so might be a new winner. For Book of Cooking, I've still been using my Instapot a lot. I made pumpkin oatmeal this morning. We simmered some apples for the top of pancakes last week, and my husband made chili last night. And I just love cooking things in the fall. The fall, I love the spring. Spring is my favorite season, but when it comes to things to cook, I love the fall. Squashes and apples and all sorts of good stuff. So warm, delicious soups. Oh yeah, we made veggie cheese soup. There's just been some good stuff. For the happiness continues, physical therapy has ended, and that means I'm back at yoga, and that makes me awfully happy. It is such a joyful part of my week. I've also been doing a little self-care in the form of following my doctor's instructions on getting my first mammogram. That was nerve-wracking, and it wasn't as bad as I imagined. And yeah, just there's so many good things going on. I'm trying to have a positive attitude going into the holidays, and while I'm not sure I'm 100% succeeding in that, I am sure giving it a go. So I think that I'm going to go and wind up one of my skeins and do some swatching before the afternoon is over and get ready for my busy Tuesday out of the house. But I am really glad that you spent some time with me today. Thank you for watching. You can connect with me on the internet. I am Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLB, just the letters, on Instagram. You can join the Yarnings podcast group on Ravelry. There is a Yarnings podcast page on Facebook, and you can see the show notes with links to everything that I talk about at yarningspodcast.com, all squooshed together. So until next time, I hope that you can find some happiness to continue in your life. And happy Halloween! Bye.